Okay, we will return, call this meeting back to order at 10:14 PM. Yeah, it's unmuted. Wait, do you want to speak or what? Okay. Can we approve BOD please first? So I don't know. Yeah, let's do restricted first.
Only the first two parts.
What? I'm sorry, let's do this first. Restricted.
Nico?
Do you want to do BOD or?
I'm gonna okay. I'm gonna motion to approve the carryover restricted funds except the additional restricted fund category. So that is my motion. Restricted funds except the additional restricted category.
I second.
Daniel seconds.
Tommy motions, Daniel seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against. All abstaining. With a vote of 13-0, that is approved. And then next, do we want to do BOD? Yeah, Nico.
Hello, everyone. The USA/BOD fund has a total requested allocation of $406,518.55, and we recommend a total allocation of $155,000, $368.63 to 92 non-USAC entities and 1 USAC entity. And I'm happy to answer any questions, and I will motion in a minute. Okay, cool. I motion to approve the USA/BOD allocation of $155,368.63 to 92 non-USAC entities and 1 USAC entity.
Nico motions, JS seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against. All abstaining. With a vote of 13-0, that allocation is approved. Okay, great. Thank you. Next, we can move on to, I think, I don't know, who do we, well, yeah, someone. And then, yeah, you can speak.
Yes. Is the presentation gonna be?
I can try to
show?
I sent over the presentation to Tommy, so maybe the easiest thing to do is
Yeah,
to
I'll
share it with
screen share.
everyone. Oh, okay, perfect.
All right, we are sharing. Can you guys see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. Hannah and I are working together with Samahang Filipino to propose some surplus money for SPCN. I want to introduce some students who are here today and have stayed this entire time to talk a little bit about SPCN and its significance historically and for our students now. Next slide, please.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Cody Tamamo. I'm a fourth-year economics major and accounting minor. I am serving as this year's executive producer and coordinator for Samang Filipino Cultural Night, otherwise known as SPCN. I'm accompanied by Kristen and Megan over there, my Mindanao coordinators. If you're unfamiliar with SPCN, it is the premier exposition of Filipino dance and culture, intertwined with an original script and soundtrack aiming to represent and celebrate the common themes and experiences of our diaspora. Next slide, please. Here are some pictures of what we look like in Royce Hall with dancers like Tinikling, Pasikat Navaso, and some of our actors, again, on Royce Hall. But to reiterate, SPCN is an annual musical production centering Filipino identity. It features several traditional and modern cultural dances, again, a fully original script and score with fully original numbers. Our production is operated mostly by students, from leadership to performers to songwriters. Next slide, please. Above anything else, though, SPCN is defined by our community, with 39 dedicated individuals committed to guiding and spearheading its operations every year. We collectively oversee the nearly 300 different students involved in our roster as we participate in rehearsals, meetings, and join us on stage. As we prepare to perform in Royce Hall, many of us go through late nights that bleed into the morning and endure major crunch sessions and tight deadlines. Still, we celebrate who we are, empowering each other every night and fighting to make ourselves heard. I also want to make a note that SPCN is not exclusive to Filipinos or Filipino Americans. We welcome and will continue to welcome anyone of any background to participate, so long as they are open to learning about our culture. At UCLA, cultural nights like SPCN enrich our life on campus, but many of our voices, unfortunately, still feel unheard, with many of our struggles currently unaddressed by UCLA. We in SPCN often work with a fear that our efforts will never see voices stage, so we are happy to work with USAC's EVP's office to elucidate some of these struggles and increase our visibility on campus while maintaining accessibility for our production. So, Ken and Cherry, take it away.
Yeah, can we get the next slide? So Sherry and I just really wanted to highlight how USAC and SPCN can partner and how they have already partnered in the past. For SWC specifically, our diverse SWC team was created a couple years ago within the SWC office to really intentionally prioritize identity-based approaches to health and wellness. As someone who has participated in culture nights like these since my freshman year, like I know how much this improves our student wellness on campus. So this is something personally passionate about, but also our office is passionate about. We have done this year through several collaborations, including programming with retention orgs like CClear, and then also Samhang Filipino in the past. Our diverse SWC director is is the SP president. So we're very involved with a lot of this programming, and from the photos, we've done also a lot of events with performances as well.
Yeah, awesome. On EVP's end, one of our main priorities this year has been to protect programs of access and retention, especially ones that have continued to be scrutinized and defunded by our university as well as the government. And our partnership with SPCN is an extension of a year-long partnership with SP, in which we have worked with them on programming and different projects to make sure that access and retention programs and cultural programming is protected on campus. So wanted to highlight that this is like an ongoing partnership between USAC and SPCN, and a part of a greater conversation about how USAC can be more involved in like student first programming that is happening on campus. And we are working with SP and SPCN to make sure that SPCN is advertised and has the correct funding and staffing to make sure that events like this and other events are run smoothly. So yeah. Next slide.
This slide just shows a budget breakdown for the overall just cost of the event. As you can see, the main cost comes from the venue, Royce Hall, but there are other like cultural performances and then other just like logistics for running the show.
Next slide. We can like fly by these ones, but this just gives a more specific breakdown of what every individual line item goes towards in the entire budget of SPCN. Obviously, ticketing, videography, photography. Next slide. T-shirts and like merch for the cast. Next slide. The programs that are printed and distributed to cast members and audience members, as well as props, sets, costumes. Next slide. Like traditional dance advice and sort of along with the next slide, I think like community engagement organizations that SPCN brings in to mentor and coordinate with students who are participating in the programming. Can we do next slide? And then next slide again. And then, of course, the main cost is Royce Hall. Next slide. So this is an overview of the existing funding that SPCN has. One of the major ways that they get funding for the Culture Night is through crowdfunding. They have a campaign that they are currently running and have ran for the past few months. And they also apply to a variety of USAC funding bodies. Next slide.
Sorry. I just wanted to also highlight the rainy day funds, just to show that this is obviously something that we are scrambling for every bit of money we can here.
Yeah. Next slide. And so this slide and the slide afterwards want to highlight that the money that would be allocated from surplus would go towards making sure that they're able to purchase and have the Culture Night at Royce Hall. So that is what the surplus allocation specifically would go towards. And obviously that is one of like the biggest parts of like what they need money for and one of the biggest costs towards the event. And Royce Hall specifically I think is important because that is where historically the event every year has been held. Next slide, sorry. Yeah, okay. So again, this is like the projected allocations, and you can see where they're sort of getting and giving the money that they have in their budget. And so again, the middle part says surplus goes to Royce Hall. Next slide, sorry. We can again fly through these, but these are just some invoices and receipts for the different line items in their budget that have been included, just to give you guys an idea of like how much money and like to show you all that the work for this, all of this has been done, and they have like for the past few months been collecting invoices, and we've been trying to find funding for this Culture Night, and it's a big effort that is put together by hundreds of students and a historical event at UCLA that is super important and brings together not only students but their family members and community members, and it works with community organizations and it works with students, and we want to make sure that USAC can do its part in helping and making sure that events like these continue to be successful and continue to be well funded. So yeah, thanks. I think the rest are just invoices. If anybody has any questions or anything to add, but
Yeah, I'll limit it to 5 minutes for the questions. Are there any questions? I don't know if you can keep them up. Push. If you have anything to add.
Yeah, I guess on the note of Royce Hall, like Shay mentioned, we've performed at Royce Hall for the past couple of years. 40 years ago actually is the first time we performed in Royce Hall. So this year is a little bit of a special year. But on top of the accommodating venue, Royce Hall has almost 1,800 seats, which we've sold out in the past couple of years whenever we dropped our tickets. It gives us a platform to kind of speak and raise our truths in a space where we've historically been disparaged and marginalized. Filipinos are definitely a community that has been in a way attacked, not specifically by UCLA, but from different institutions and systems present in academic settings. So again, it really is just important for us as a community to take space in Royce Hall in a stage that is recognized globally, and just kind of share our stories and celebrate our experiences and, like I said, speak our truth. But thank you for your time.
Thank you. We will now move on to, I think you want to finish your guys. Yeah. Well, if like, if there are no questions.
Okay, as in we just have more time.
Yeah, like I'll give you guys a 5 more minutes.
Okay, cool. Absolutely. Well, as you guys know, our presentation was thorough as it was, but we know you probably have a few more follow-up questions regarding JRF or anything within our proposal and or budget. And we just wanted to clarify any of those questions and give you guys the opportunity to learn a bit more about us as well.
Does your event charge for students, like student tickets, and if so, how much?
Yes, thank you for asking us that. So because we are not referendum, we do in fact charge students for attendance to JRF, and that's just because we have to, considering the price, inflation, the market, as we've mentioned before, and the caliber of an event of this style. However, we try our hardest to keep student tickets the lowest possible. So we have both a pit access zone, which is the standing in front of the stage, as well as a picnic style area further back, which have two different ticket prices. The student ticket is able to access both the pit area as well as the picnic style area, which is a ticket to the external community that is worth $40, but to students that is $15. So we are charging students a $15 flat rate for all access, essentially. And that's reduced at a very large amount to what we typically charge external participants of JRF. And we do have that in order to allow more students to attend and for the benefits of the student community in a whole.
And I just wanted to add to that, this is kind of like playing into the importance of us having quality artists at JRF so that it is worth it when students pay $15 for a ticket, that they get to see someone that they really appreciate and enjoy. In the past, I mean, you saw on our slides, but we've had some really high quality artists. And on top of that, to even be considered a festival, we need at least 5 of them. So we're hoping that with $15, it becomes an experience that's really worth it for students. And then in addition to having those discounted prices compared to like off-campus attendance.
I'd also like to mention, because we did bring it up, but obviously we're kind of going through them quickly. We do have what we call the JRF Village, which is a flea and farmers market style village that is completely free and open to all students to access. That's stretching down Bruin Walk and Bruin Plaza all the way up to the festival grounds. So in order to actually come into the festival grounds, then you pay that ticket to see the artist perform. And that's why the money is going towards A&R. But that village area, we have already covered with the budget that we do have, as well as through applying to TGIF and outside funds, as well as bringing in sponsors to really try to cover and make sure there's as many opportunities available to students free of charge.
We also offer giveaways as well. And
but yeah, that's a good point. We prioritize really being able to give away as many tickets as possible. I'm sure, as you guys all know, there is a cap put on us by CTO, but that's something we really stressed last year. And all students who did have a ticket and or bought a ticket were upgraded in order to have that all access pass. And that's why it's something we're implementing this year to just fully cover all students being able to go everywhere. Mm-hmm.
Very
Well, yeah, I think this is a really important event, and thank you guys for being here. I'm just curious, like, I know you guys had mentioned that this year you guys even had like tried to cut down on like your budget and like be efficient with the money that you have. And it seems like a very large like amount of money that is still not covered. And so I was just wondering, like, in the past, like, has this been an issue also? And like, how typically have you guys been able to cover your funding?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So JRF historically has been a very large event, gone in and out of being put together by the Cultural Affairs Commission as well as other entities. However, it did dip down in around 2017, and that's because of budget cuts that the festival wasn't able to happen. And then it came back as a much smaller scale event that was in Sunset Rec. But the past year, as well as this year, we're trying to bring it back to the caliber of the JRF event that we've known for ages, that our parents went to, that has grown generations, that's really been a pillar of the UCLA community and the experience, as we've been saying. And that is why this event is of a much larger caliber. Last year, however, we did have money that was poured over from the year previous, because that year we weren't able to put on JRF. So the 80K that JRF typically gets every year was then sent into the next year. So last year the director last year, this is both of our first years directing, had double the budget. So we're already starting from a place in which we have half as much as we had last year, trying to put on the same scale. And so that's why we've kind of been going through with all the events offices, how can we cut as much money as possible? Because we want to put on the same experience, you know? We don't want to put on a JRF like we did last year, then this year come back and it's actually like completely plummeted, right? And it's unfortunate that the resources are only allowing for a smaller scale event, but we're trying our hardest to put on the same event so it can continue to grow in years to come, as well as setting up a platform for it to do so. And that's why we kind of have to cover that extra gap of costs.
Also just to add, our venue has shuffled around a little bit in previous years. We're having it in Wilson Plaza. This is like the ticketed area that we're referring to. And I will say with that, we've had a bunch of meetings with like our finance officer, our venue advisor, people like that. And we've tried to cut costs in areas that make sense, but to be transparent, like our venue is really expensive. I think on our budget sheet, yeah, our venue is 112K, and that's already like exceeding our budget. So there's also kind of a mismatch that happens between the budget that we have annually and then the increasing prices of UCLA venues. So that's kind of the gap that we're bridging here. And I feel like we've already done a lot with trying to like cut down on costs that are going towards venue, but with A&R, there's just not funds available for us to apply to that would cover A&R artists of this caliber.
And we've also looked at other venues, but there's restrictions based on how many people do attend JRF, as well as Sunset Rec being historically where it was when it was a smaller event, but it's not accessible to all people. And so Wilson Plaza is what accommodates this event. And unfortunately, the price and the market has been highly inflated, and we have to go along with that. But we've literally dug everywhere. Like Lindsay said, this isn't our plan A, nor is it our plan B. Like we've been trying everything.
Even with IM Fields, they don't accommodate food vendors. So we can't have any village if we do it there. It's just like every venue, there's an issue. This is the best one that we have.
It's picturesque. If you've ever been to JRF or plan to come this year, it's really, truly an amazing experience.
Really exceptional. In our budget, the budget we have for JRF, it's like we don't have enough money for venue or artists, so we can't pay for artists without them. That's why we're really struggling and want to continue to build on like fundraisers to get as big as it was before. Bring in sponsors, so we won't have to continue to do that.
Right. It just takes that initial investment.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Who else you don't have to do it today, you can do it next week, but who feels the need that they should do their presentation?
Yeah, could I do
Because if
mine?
not, then we can just finish them tomorrow.
Oh, hello?
Next week, my bad. I'm like, tomorrow, yeah, actually.
Diego, can you hear me? Hello?
Oh, Brett, you want to do yours, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Are you able to hear me?
Can you repeat that?
Can you hear me? I just need a ours is so quick, but if we could promote Mia to a panelist to present for us, it'll be like 5 minutes. Super
Yeah,
quick.
5-10 minutes, no worries.
Okay, hi everyone. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. So good evening, everyone. My name is Mia Berzminski. I serve as the internal chief of staff for GenRep 3, and this past year I served as the director of civic engagement for Ignite at UCLA. And today I'll be presenting a funding request for the GenRep 3 and Ignite reproductive health fair expansion. So just for some context, Ignite is a women's reproductive advocacy club dedicated to political education, research, and rights-based advocacy. And as the director of civic engagement, I saw firsthand the impact that our club has had on students. For example, last year we worked on the Resources First referendum alongside the current IVP, which streamlined funding to the Center for Assault Resources and Education, also known as CARE, an organization with which we have closely worked with to promote wellness after surviving an assault. In 2023, we were featured in the LA Times for our work exposing unequal access to forensic exams and rape test kits at Reagan. We've also worked with the Rape Treatment Center at UCLA Santa Monica to secure free transportation to their facility, and we also continue to work very closely with them. This year, we hope to host a reproductive health fair as we must continue to expand and fund reproductive justice initiatives and sexual assault-based resources, especially at a time when women's bodies and autonomy are consistently under attack. This reproductive health fair is an event with the goal of increasing understanding of reproductive health for students, including emergency resources and preventative sexual health measures. The reproductive health fair will feature both on and off-campus organizations, and each organization will have its own reproductive health-related activities and prizes and other resources for students. This program has already occurred for the past 3 years on the Hill, and it has educated over 1,000 students per event on the reproductive health resources available to them. And in order to expand the reach of this event, we are asking USAC for additional support in funding this proposal. The event aims to increase students' awareness of emergency resources, preventative sexual health measures, and other essential services that are available to them that they otherwise wouldn't know about. It'll help remedy students' knowledge gap and attract people who are interested in learning more about reproductive health advocacy. Many high school students in the United States don't have adequate sexual health education requirements, resulting in many of our first-year college students having limited knowledge of reproductive health resources that are available to them on their campuses. So this fair aims to bridge the gap between students and the organizations that possess these important resources that can educate them. It also aims to destigmatize the negative and overlooked ideas revolving around reproductive health. USAC and Ignite's ability to create the greatest change in the UCLA community, advancing reproductive justice, can only happen through proper education and support through events like the Reproductive Health Fair. This fair has not typically been done in collaboration with USAC, but this funding would show us how a relationship between USAC and Ignite can improve visibility and platform our outreach work and continue preserving bodily autonomy for our students. It is especially important on college campuses where 26% of undergraduate women report having been assaulted and 11% of undergraduate women report a drug-assisted assault. So this is really happening even on our campus, and GenRep 3 and Ignite hope to aid in preventative measures by utilizing USAC funding and resources to better equip students in moments like these and to emphasize USAC's commitment to reproductive justice. Ignite is a historically underfunded organization that fills gaps on campus where admin and Title IX fail to fully aid. So that said, we are asking for $1,500 to fund this fair, which would include prizes, tabling organizations, and resources like tampons, pads, drink covers, drink test strips, and so much more. We had a bunch of our members show up in person to the meeting tonight, but unfortunately they had to get going. But they felt that it was of utmost importance to show up for this and demonstrate that there is real need and support of this event. We hope that this proposal will be accepted. And on behalf of Ignite and GenRep 3, I thank you for your time and consideration.
Yeah, if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer.
All right. Does anybody have any questions? If not, we can move on. Okay. Thank you, Brett and Mia.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we will move on to what's next. Nobody's.
Now we have the discussion.
We're not doing mini fun. We can I
Let's do
think
mini fun
let's
first,
yeah,
then.
let's mini fun. Okay.
Addison.
Addison, do you want to just go swing at it in motion? Oh, Addison, can you motion? Unless there's anything you wanna.
Oh, hi. Are you guys talking about the CS Mini application?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, sure. Basically TLDR, I'm just changing the deadlines to push it back a little bit. So yeah, I'm just gonna motion. I motion to approve the CS Mini Fund application.
Second.
Addison motions, Hannah seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. With a vote of 13-0, those mini fund application is approved. And then next, Divine, you want to do those guidelines as well?
Yes, so I just updated. Thank you. Hi, everyone. This is Divine talking. So I'm talking about the new ARC guidelines. So, I just want to make sure there's a lot of big events for the rest of this quarter, and so I want to ensure the ARC fund is used and accessible to as many students as possible. Last year there's about $23,000 in carryover, and then plus right now there's $81,000 currently available, and we can already project that that's not going to be used for only just $2,500. So, it just increasing the funding guidelines to $15,000 for this funding period. Are there any questions about that? I motion to approve the new 2025 to 26 ARC Initiative Fund guidelines.
I second.
Divine motion, Jay seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against. All abstaining with a vote of 12-0. Those guidelines are approved. Next, we have our final item, which is discussion on USAC letter. I'm assuming that's obviously from last week. I believe, Talia, this is your agenda item, so yeah, we'll begin.
Thank you, Diego. Hi, everyone. I know it's been a really long night, but this is very, very important to me and a lot of the community members that spoke tonight at our meeting. So thank you guys all for listening and being attentive to their thoughts and input. Before I begin, I want to recognize that not all officers present tonight were at the meeting last week. I by no means hold those officers accountable for the very unfortunate vote that took place. While Javier is no longer in the room with us, I do want to take a moment to address his comments earlier and make it clear that my office condemns doxing of any kind and in any capacity. I messaged him personally to express my active and immediate work to try and remove instances of doxing that have manifested online in the past few hours by members outside of the UCLA community. Now, I want to take a few minutes to address the letter condemning my event with Omer Shemtov that was passed unanimously last week in my absence. I kindly ask that you all grant me the time to offer transparency and input on the array of concerns that have been brought to my attention. It's very disheartening to know that the letter was intentionally presented when I could not be there to offer the transparency and clarity that was being demanded. This approach raises questions as to whether the goal was to truly seek transparency and foster communication. What left me particularly speechless was the decision to bring this forward on the night of Yom HaShoah, a day dedicated to mourning the 6 million Jews murdered in the Holocaust. Condemning Omer Shemtov for sharing his lived experience rooted in the same patterns of anti-Semitic hatred and violence my community has faced is not only inappropriate, but blatantly disrespectful. One of my main priorities in office is to always be transparent and responsive to questions or concerns surrounding the work I am doing. I would have been more than happy to hop on a call or meet with any of you to answer questions surrounding the event, how it was funded, and how it came to be. While I received one question surrounding GR funds specifically, a lack of inquiry surrounding other aspects of the event left the letter that was passed last week misinformed, misdirected, and incredibly distasteful. I want to address one of the primary concerns raised in the letter, the claim that hosting Omer Shemtov reflects UCLA amplifying a one-sided narrative. As it relates to speaking events, I have seen UCLA highlight Palestinian voices through the Badari Kindness Institute and Consortium for Palestine Studies at UCLA. I specifically remember the event Revisiting Zionism as a Form of Racism and Racial Discrimination that took place November 13, 2025. This event was also one-sided, yet USAC was completely silent. To deny the very obvious double standard perpetuated by some members of our council is shameful. It may be that events I have seen do not feature the speakers that Muslim, Arab, or Palestinian students would like to see, or that the events that have taken place are not sufficient. I'm not here to debate or invalidate that. And I also recognize and have spoken with Palestinian and Muslim student representatives, and I support their calls and efforts to be seen and heard by UCLA. Those concerns are very valid, and I welcome a separate, more focused conversation to discuss them in depth. However, I stand very firmly in my belief that using the event with Omer Shem Tov as the central example of this concern is misdirected and, in effect, dismisses the lived experience and trauma of an innocent Jewish civilian. First and foremost, this event was entirely student-driven. It was planned from start to finish by I and other students, independent of UCLA, USAC funding, or direction of the Nazarian Center. The university did not select the speaker. Students did, because they found a lot of value in Omer's experience. This is consistent with the right of all students to have and bring speakers to campus whose perspectives they believe are meaningful. I remain open and willing, as I always have been, to collaborate with anyone interested in bringing a Palestinian speaker to campus to share their lived experience. I have communicated this to members of the Palestinian and Muslim communities before, and I firmly stand by that commitment. Providing a platform for Omer Shem Tov to share his experience does not invalidate anyone else's. Multiple lived experiences, especially difficult and deeply personal ones, can and should coexist with equal legitimacy. On the financial front, I want to emphasize that this event was not funded by UCLA, the Nazarian Center, my office, or my personal stipend in any capacity. Divine, I do want to take a moment to address your concern regarding the level of UCPD and security presence that was there last week. Under UCLA protocol, from what information has been shared with me, events with over 350 attendees may be designated as major events. Once that designation is made, UCPD assesses whether there is a likelihood of protest or demonstration. If they determine that there is, as they did in this case, UCLA provides security at no cost to the registered student organization hosting the event. This policy is neutral and broadly applied. It is not specific to any one group or viewpoint. Security decisions are based on risk assessments conducted by the UCPD. Suggesting that the presence of heightened security reflects favoritism from UCLA administration is therefore a misunderstanding of standard protocol. It also overlooks the very real concerns about safety that many Jewish students and community members have experienced. Most importantly, I want to emphasize how deeply inappropriate and profoundly insensitive the language of this letter is. Omer Shem Tov, as many of you guys heard tonight, was taken hostage on October 7th and held in unimaginable conditions for 505 days. He was starved, beaten, enslaved, and held in a cage 120 feet underground in complete darkness and solitude. So no contact with the outside world, no food, having to unfortunately live in his own filth, for lack of a better word. And he does not represent the IDF or the Israeli government. He was a regular civilian taken at 20 years old, close to most of our ages, and has a right to share his incredibly vulnerable story. And despite his traumatic experience, Omer always focuses his lecture on individual resilience, embracing optimism and faith, and emphasizes his hope for peace and commitment to conversation time and time again. To claim that supporting a platform for him to share his trauma, and I quote, reflects a troubling disregard for Palestinian life and contributes to a campus climate in which Palestinian, Arab, and Muslim students are further marginalized, silenced, and harmed is beyond out of touch. I would appreciate further clarity on how Palestinian, Arab, and Muslim students were harmed by Omer sharing his story. As student elected officers, we represent the entire student body. It is our job to seek and deliver transparency professionally, represent all of UCLA's diverse communities, and foster dialogue in all directions. The letter passed last week, and the approach by which it was presented did none of the above. As a council, as student leaders, and as members of a diverse campus community, I hope we can all hold ourselves to a higher standard, one that prioritizes fairness, empathy, and genuine engagement. I am more than happy to answer any remaining questions or address any concerns, and I really appreciate you guys all taking the time to listen. Thank you.
Any questions, comments regarding the statement by Talia?
Hi everyone, this is Divine talking. Thank you, Dahlia, for breaking everything down. I think I wasn't at the event when I saw the UCPD and security. That was on Bruin Walk. So I think my next question is since was that wasn't part of the event, like that wasn't like a scheduled thing.
That's a good question. So when I spoke to our sole advisor, that was considered an extension of the event, under one umbrella. So the major event category also included the tabling on Bruin Walk. And so the security and UCPD protocol extended to the tabling. I'm more than happy to discuss whether that is how things should be conducted in the future, but that was what UCPD decided. So
Yeah,
out
I
of our
understand that
control.
part.
Yeah,
Thank you.
of course. Thank you for your question.
Well, I just want to acknowledge for the record that I was not at the meeting, and I know that many other council members were not here at the meeting. I believe the general representatives, a few, maybe two more folks. I was at the UC office of the president for my spring quarter convening, and I was unaware that this was being introduced. And I am just like I know, like all of us, we are deeply concerned about our personal information being shared, and I hope everyone is taking the proper steps to address this. And I mean, like, if you have any concerns with your personal safety, please reach out to SGS professional staff. And they're more likely to, they're very open to supporting you, obviously. But yeah, I don't have anything to say. All right. If there are no further questions or comments, I think that's it. And I will adjourn today's meeting.